Welcome, fight fans. It is your boy Blue. Welcome to the 9th episode of BLÜ-FC. As always, we're just going to quickly go through what we're doing. We're going to first talk about UFC 266, and then we're going to move on to UFC Vegas 38, which is going to be Santos and Walker. So we will start with UFC 266. That, of course, was Volkanovski and Ortega. What a night! Seriously, the whole night. The whole night was good. Oh, man. Okay, so we'll start with the prelims, of course. I talked about 1, 2, 3 different prelims. Oh, 4. Yeah, 4 different prelims. There were a lot of good prelims today on Saturday. First up, we had Urosh Medic and Jalen Turner. I fucked up my notes here. I really did. Oh, yeah. I was going for Medic here. I mean, he was undefeated. He looked pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I was pretty shocked by that one. Turner just walked right through Medic. No problem whatsoever. Honestly, I thought they were going to stop it after the knockdowns. There were a couple of them, but instead he got a sub. Good for him. I really didn't think it was going to be, I thought it was at least going to be close. I definitely didn't think it was going to be one-sided that way. I really didn't. So yeah, good for Jalen Turner there. Also, fun fact, I saw on Twitter after they were fighting at not featherweight, at lightweight, of course, 155. His coach told him to take a picture of the scale after the fight. Weighed 180 pounds. 180. That's 25 pounds he gained back in one day. And you got to also remember, if that was after the fight, he probably lost maybe a pound or so just being in there. So, I mean, he was even more overweight after that. That's crazy. I honestly cannot believe that they can lose that weight and then put it back on all in one day. It's crazy. Absolutely insane to me. It really is. Anyway, enough of that. The second one was Shamil Abdurakhimov versus Chris Daukaus. By the way, got the other Daukaus brother on the card for this Saturday. I was thinking this was going to be a fairly close one. I went, of course, with the one who fought more recently, the one who was on his way up. I think he was also a bit younger too. Went with Daukaus, of course. And because they were heavyweights, I went with the finish. And it was really close for a while there. But then Daukaus just really took over and smacked him. Got a huge KO. Honestly, not even just one KO. He actually got multiple KOs there. Oh, man. Wild. And I was going to come up with some potential matchups for Daukaus, of course, as I always do, because he is ranked. But guess what? He's already got one up. He's got the Black Beast himself, Derek Lewis, in December. That is going to be a good one. It's going to be interesting to see, well, for one, how Daukaus handles somebody that's in the top 5, really good, and how Derek Lewis comes back from that too. That's going to be a really good one. I'm very interested to see how that's going to work out. Excuse me. As for Shamil, I mean, come on. He's got to fight down, of course. But, and honestly, I will be saying this a couple other times throughout the stream, Aspinall wanted to fight somebody who's just slightly going up the ladder a bit. Why not go with Shamil? He lost a couple spots there. I can't remember the exact number, and I didn't write it down. I think it was somewhere around 9-ish, 8 or 9 he's ranked now, maybe even lower. So Aspinall wants to move up a couple spots at a time. That might be a really good one for him. And I think it's the perfect guy for him to fight. I'm not going to say it's an easy fight, but it's easier than it could be. So I would like to see that for Aspinall. I think that would be good. And after that, we had Dan Hooker and Nasrat Haqparast. Hooker, of course, was ranked 8th. Nasrat was unranked. Still, nothing has changed. Actually, I think Hooker actually got up a couple spots. I think he might be ranked 5th now. I can't remember. Also did not write that one down. Go me. Uh, there was a huge amount of stuff leading up to this fight. Of course, the visa issues, the sad news of course, Haqparast mom. So I was leaning towards Haqparast here just because I thought he would really bring it in, really bring in that energy to do everything he could to win. And he did bring that energy, but he did do fairly well. He had some moments here and there, but Hooker is just too much. He's just too good. I mean, there's a reason why he's ranked that high and why they moved him up in the rankings after this fight. That doesn't really normally happen when you're fighting an unranked fighter and you win. Normally, you don't go up in the rankings by a lot after that, but that just shows you how good he really did do there. As for Haqparast here, he's going to fight somebody unranked again. They're not going to give him somebody ranked, or if they do, they're going to go somewhere on the bottom, like number 14, number 15. Who knows? I think they're probably going to go with somebody good that's also unranked. As for Hooker, obviously deserves somebody up there again. Honestly, I'm really thinking Beneil Dariush. I still can't really believe that he's actually ranked number 3 right now. Like, huh? Honestly, I'm pretty surprised by that. I think that's perfect for Hooker. Book that fight. I think Hooker, well, I know Hooker would love that because I'm pretty sure he thinks fairly rightfully that he would do fairly well in that fight. Steal the number 3 ranking. I think that's good for him. I would like to see that. The next one was Marlon Moraes and Merab Dvalishvili. This was another close one for me coming up, going into the fight. I was leaning towards Merab. I was saying by decision just because they're both so technical, and I thought Merab was gonna basically grind Marlon out, get the decision win, just control the whole fight basically. And I mean, I guess you could say I was right that it was pretty close because this was one of the craziest fights I have ever seen. The wildest comeback I've ever seen, really. Merab was basically out on his feet in the first round, but then somehow smashed Marlon at the end of the first and then continued that in the second. He came in heavy, got over 150 unanswered strikes. 150. What? Over 100 of those were significant. Just wild stuff here. Never seen anything like it. Unreal. And honestly, cannot believe the whole time I was watching that, the whole time I couldn't believe that Marlon was still in it after all that. It was insane. Crazy, crazy fight. I do feel bad. What's next for them, of course? I do feel bad for Moraes. I really do like the guy. I really do. But you got to probably give him somebody unranked. He's lost, what's that, 3 in a row now? At least 2 in a row now. Actually, yeah, I think that was 3 in a row. Or maybe somebody near the bottom of the rankings there. I think he'd win those, really. I think he would win the ones on the bottom, but I think they're probably going to give him somebody unranked just so that somebody else that's unranked has a chance to go up. That's probably what'll happen for him. But yeah, that's not it for him. It's not it for him. Don't worry about him. He'll be back. He'll be back. It's just he's just kind of unlucky that the division is so strong. It's a crazy division. It really is. I mean, everybody everybody in the top 15 is pretty solid, but especially like 1 through 8, somewhere around there, just absolute monsters. And I mean, unranked, you've got Suga, who really easily could be in the top 10 as well. So, I mean, you've got a wild division there. As for Merab, clearly he deserves somebody in the top 5. I mean, they ranked him at number 6 after this one. Everyone online is saying it. I think it's right too. I think he's probably getting Aldo, or if not Aldo, probably Font. Somebody like that. Because I mean, the other ones are taken as well. Also, Dillashaw still hasn't really healed yet, and he's not going to fight Merab. I don't think so. He's not letting that happen. But yeah, he proved after that, especially, that he can overcome anything. So I think he's got a pretty good shot at somebody in the top 5. But I do think it would be close. I definitely don't think that he's running over anybody. I think all of his fights are going to be pretty close. For the last prelim I'm going to talk about, I didn't talk about it in the other one. Oh, actually, I know I did. I mentioned it as a chance for a parlay because the odds were so insanely high. I'm talking about Semmelsberger. I can't remember what the odds were. I think they were in the minus 600 range. I was saying use that as a parlay. I hope that you did that. I hope that you got that parlay in because he got a wild 15-second KO. Come on. I mean, I think he's got 2 KOs in less than 20 seconds now. And he's only fought, I think, a few times in the UFC. I mean, that's crazy. Crazy. He's going to have some big fights coming up next. I would assume. I mean, you can't do that and not get another good fight next. As for the main card, we got Jessica Andrade and Cynthia Calvillo. Going into it, I mean, I was obviously going for Andrade there. She beat Chookagian easy. Calvillo lost to her. I knew, and I mean, she's the very clear number 1 contender going into this and after this, obviously. Because, I mean, she basically has the best chance against Shevchenko out of anybody in the whole division. So I knew this was going to be definitely leaning towards Andrade. And in terms of output, I will say it was actually pretty even. But, I mean, the power difference was just insane. Andrade was just way too much, way more powerful, and got a pretty easy first round KO. So, what's next? I mean, it's just such a weird position we're in here. You've got Valentina at the top. She's up here. Andrade is here. Maybe somewhere there. Everybody else in the division off the screen. Somewhere here. And that's just the way it is in this division right now. I mean, what do you do with that? Maybe Tyler Santos for Andrade just because she won this last one on the same card. Maybe Calvillo. Maybe that's who Calvillo fights. I don't know. Because you could make an argument for either one of those. Honestly, I don't know. Or Andrade, actually, I forget. I think it was even Dana White who was saying this. Maybe she goes down to strawweight again. Cleans up there. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities. I mean, she's a solid fighter. It's just, again, it's such a weird position. I guess it's because we're still fairly early into the women's MMA. We don't have the depth, of course, that the men's ones do. Especially in the bantamweights. I mean, come on. It's like I was just saying, the bantamweight division is crazy. Most of the men's divisions, actually, not all of them, I will say, but most of those men's divisions are so deep. Everybody in the top 10 could do pretty much anything. And it's just not the case in the women's yet. And it's too bad, but we'll get there eventually. And I'm excited for that day. I cannot wait for the day that we see the entire top 10 of every men's and women's division be super fucking solid. But sadly, we're not there yet. Okay. Next up was Blades and Rosenstrike. I was saying this could go either way. I mean, you've got the classic matchup. You've got a wrestler and a power puncher. We've talked about this a few times now. We talked about it with Gane and Lewis. We talked about it with Ngannou and Stipe. We're going to talk about it again when Francis fights Gane. We're going to talk about this so much, and we're talking about it here. We had... And I'm going to say the same thing every single time. I'm going to do it. If you've got somebody that's more well-rounded, or wrestling in general, if they're a really good wrestler, they're going to try and control the fight. They're going to try and take the other person down, stop that power, and the power person's just going to go for the KO. That's what's going to happen. That's what I'm going to say every single time. And I'm going to be right every single time. I might not get the result right, but I will say every single time that the wrestler or the more well-rounded one is going to win the decision, or the power puncher is going to get the KO. And what did we see here? The more well-rounded one, the wrestler, got a decision. Yeah. So that's what we saw here. I will say this one was a little more lackluster than the other ones, than all of the other fights, really. Heard some boos in there. I don't know if that was justified, but they've been booing quite a bit at the live events lately. So, eh. What do we got here? Yeah, he controlled the whole fight with his wrestling. Blades did. And Rosenstrike did have a couple big shots there, but overall, fairly easy decision win for Blades. And again, that's just what you're going to see. That's just what you're going to see when you've got a well-rounded fighter or just a solid wrestler on the one side and a striker on the other side. Just tale as old as time. What is next for Blades? Again, he's kind of in a weird position too. There's so many people in weird positions here, just the way everything is shaking up. I guess it's also because the top now, you've got two people with a belt. They're going to fight that out. Derek Lewis has already got a fight fighting below. So I mean, there's not too many other people for Blades now. So he can get Stipe. I think that would be solid. I think Stipe gets a fairly easy win there. But people are also saying Stipe and John Jones, which of course, how would you not do that? That would be insane. I would love to see that, of course, if John Jones gets out of jail anytime soon. um, or for Blades, maybe he sees the loser of the belt, whether that's Ngannou or Gane, probably Ngannou. We'll get into that when they actually fight. But I would, the loser of that belt, I think that's a decent one. Or again, you've got Aspinall sitting there. That might be a bit high for what he's trying to do. He said he wants to go up slowly. But again, I think that's actually a challenge for both of them. I really do. Because Aspinall's good enough that he probably could beat Blades. But they're both well-rounded. So I think it's a different challenge for both of them. And I think that would be really cool to see. I'd really like to see that. But again, Rosenstrike, I can also say the same thing. He just lost. Aspinall wants to fight up again, just slowly. Go with the loser there. Go with Rosenstrike. He can do that one too. I mean, Aspinall's got all the options here, really. And he wants to be more active too. So like give him one of those. I mean, really, or also for Rosenstrike, you could maybe argue for Walt Harris to get back in there. He hasn't been in there recently. Maybe you could give that to him. That would be a solid matchup. I think that's good. That would be good for both of them. After that, we had Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler. I was going back and forth on this one all week. I really was. And I was even, you know what? I was even going to say on the day, on Saturday, I was even thinking to myself, oh my God, should I stick with Lawler? Should I switch? What do I do here? Diaz, in his interviews and stuff, he didn't look too enthused about the situation, but he did kind of convince me that he was maybe going to come in with something insane and get a finish. I don't know. I didn't know what to think. But when we got there, I got to admit, way better than I thought it was. I mean, when you hear the two names, sure, of course you think it's going to be crazy, but they're getting older. Diaz hasn't fought in 5-6 years. Lawler has lost a few times, so you don't really know what to expect, but they did amazing. It was a great fight. So much better, really way better than I thought it was going to be. And Nick Diaz, for being out for that long, had an amazing pace. I definitely did not see that, but honestly, he just didn't have the power. But Lawler had the power, and that's why he got out of it. And also, I think he just looked better. He looked, I wouldn't really say less tired, but he looked like he was really still competing in the UFC, whereas Diaz was kind of like, you could kind of tell he hadn't been there in a while, if you watch the fight, you know what I mean by that. Now, what's next for them? I'm not really sure. I don't know, because you're never going to see them compete again and make their way up the rankings. No, you're just not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I love both of them. I really do, but that's not happening. I'm sorry. So what is next for them? Probably just more prize fights like this. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. I would love to see that, of course. So who would be next for either one of them, honestly? I could see Cowboy. Come on. Get another vet in there. Bring Cowboy in. Cowboy could fight either one of them or both of them. And who else? Maybe even Ferguson. Bring Ferguson back. He hasn't been doing well recently. Maybe bring him back for one of those. I think that would be really cool. Again, either one of them. That would be great. Either one of those would be great. And I would love to see that. I really hope that they start, they bring them back in for something like that. Next up was the co-main, Shevchenko and Murphy. Again, I didn't need to say anything here. I had this one as another parlay, of course, because we knew Shevchenko was going to get a win. And I said she was probably going to get a finish. She did, fairly easily. She did come out slow the first couple rounds. Fair enough. I mean, people boo. She got a lot of boos, but it's like, come on. Like, if you were in the same situation, are you going to come out guns blazing? Or are you going to make sure you get the win? You got to take it easy. Don't make mistakes. Make sure you win every single time. And that is exactly what she did. She still dominated the first 2 rounds. She didn't do anything crazy, but she was still very much winning those rounds. And she didn't jump in and make a stupid mistake. That's not who she is. That's not who Nunes is either. They're both very similar. That's why they win so much. Not just because they're so skilled, but because they're smart enough to know if you take your time and if you're that much better in every category, if you take your time, you're not going to lose. That's just, and she landed over half of her strikes and got every takedown she wanted and got the finish in the 4th. Again, maybe that was a little late. She probably could have done it earlier. But again, she's got to make sure that she wins. Excuse me. So what do you do next here? Like I said, when we were talking about Andrade, I think Andrade is the only person that has a chance for, I don't even think she has a chance really at Valentina, but she's at least got the best chance in the division. So, and that's actually questionable considering how easily she beat her last time. But again, she's still done better than everybody else, basically. What I really want to see, though, fuck this division. I mean, I think Valentina should stay here. And she's actually said many times, including this press conference, because I've been watching all the press conferences recently. I really should have done that before because I love watching them. But that's beside the point. She was talking about how this is the perfect division for her. And I completely agree. She can't go lower. That would be too much. She can't go higher, obviously, because again, well, I mean, if you go higher, then you're getting into the Nunes territory again, which of course, we not only should we see that again, we will see that again. Dana White said it. Both of them have said it quite a few times. We are going to see that eventually. But that's not what I'm going to say here. We all know that's going to happen eventually. But what is in the immediate future for Valentina? Like I said, fuck this division. Nobody has a chance in this division, really. I want to see people from the straw weights go up. I want them to come up to her. Why haven't we seen this yet? Why? I mean, okay, except for Andrade, she came up. But I want to see that for other people. I want to see Wei Li come up. I want to see Rose come up. Joanna. Any of those, any 3 of those go up. I mean, yeah, Wei Li and Rose have got the rematch, of course, yes. But I mean, the winner of that could go up. The loser of that could go up. Joanna, go up. Any of those 3. That would be a crazy fight. Why are they not doing this? Those are the only 3 people, I think, honestly, that have a chance outside of Nunes that at least pose some kind of threat to Valentina. Do it. Do it. Chase the bags. Both of you. Like, I know Valentina would do it. She doesn't care. She knows she's probably going to win anyway. But the other 3, you're probably going to lose, but you're also probably going to be in the main event, if not the co-main. Chase that money. Get the title fight money. Go in. It's like, come on, do it. I really want to see that. I want to see it so bad. I mean, come on. Wei Li against Valentina, insane. Rose against Valentina, also insane. Joanna against Valentina, also nuts. Come on, make it happen. I'm going to talk about that so much. Every time we see them, I'm just going to plug that. I hope it happens eventually. I really do. Okay, and the main event. Wow, we're spending so much time on this event. Haven't even mentioned the event next week. But that's again how good this was. Anyway, Volkanovski Ortega. I mean, again, I went with a very clear choice of Volkanovski. I even gave him the boosted odds because I think, I mean, I love Ortega. I really do like the guy, but I said it all last week. I really didn't think he had too much of a chance against Volk. And they were giving him, the odds makers here were giving him quite a bit of a break. So that's why I chose that one as the boosted odds. I hope we got that in. And I hope that you took advantage of that because that was the perfect place to throw a bunch of money in. And you know what? It was, I'm not saying it wasn't close at all, I mean, was it? I don't know. There were a couple of moments for both fighters early on, but like I said he was going to do, Volk he just got ahead, and then it was just all him for the rest. Well, actually, not really. He was definitely ahead the first two rounds. I should really stick to my script here. But then in the third round, holy fuck, Ortega gets basically the deepest submission I've ever seen that didn't actually get the sub. That guillotine was so deep. Volk even said it in the press conference. Somebody asked him how deep it was. He was like, it was lose your belt deep. That's how fucking deep it was. Ortega even said he was gargling. Volk doesn't remember gargling, but he actually says he remembers making some weird fucking sounds. And he really did almost lose the belt right there. But other than that sub, and maybe you could argue the triangle after that, you know, like it was just all Volk the whole time. And because of those attempts, because he put everything into those, and it's still crazy that he got out of it, don't get me wrong. Absolutely insane that Volk got out of that. Because of that, though, he used all of his energy. He had nothing left, absolutely nothing. And not only that, at the end of the fourth, actually, yeah, it was the fourth, Volk got some wild ground and pound in, so much so that Ortega couldn't even get up. His team literally physically picked him up and threw him on the stool. I saw that and I was like, oh shit, he's fucked up. Like I was like, okay, well, you know, that was not a good ending to the round, but he'll be fine and come back. But no, when I saw him literally laying on the ground and could not stand up, yeah, that was bad. By the way, according to the rules, and Volk actually pointed this out because he actually didn't even know that happened with his team picking him up. Of course, he's surrounded by his own team. He didn't know this. But if you pick up your fighter, if they don't get up by themselves, that is a TKO. That is actually a TKO. So technically, that wasn't even a decision win. That was actually a TKO. But you know, it's okay. He got back into it. Well, it's not really okay, but that's fine. But then after that, Herb Dean and the doctor came in. And by the way, again, another crazy part of this, Ortega actually told his team in Spanish, he said, I can't see anything. Don't tell Herb Dean or the doctor. He literally said that in Spanish to his team. So his team knew. And not only that, but even if they didn't overhear that, even if they didn't know that he couldn't see anything, Volk said in the presser after, and honestly, I was looking at this and I could read Ortega's lips. So I knew as well that when Herb Dean was asking the questions and when the doctor was asking the questions, he didn't get any of those questions right. He didn't get any of those right, except for the last one. They waited until he got one question right and said, yeah, you're good. The rest of those, he got every single one of them wrong. And I mean, look, I love Ortega. I wanted to see him get, at least come back in there and do something, which, by the way, he did. Crazy 5th round. But you don't want to see somebody take that risk. You don't want to see somebody's career being shortened by that much. You don't want to see somebody's life, honestly, get drastically fucked up like that. Like, I mean, he did not need to take that extra damage. They probably should have stopped it. But I mean, on that's the main rational kind of side to it. But I mean, you also got to love just the badassness to say, fuck it, I can't see anything. And I'm in there against the most dominant featherweight currently, but I'm still gonna do it anyway. Come in for the 5th round. And even though I know I'm gonna lose, probably, I'm gonna come in, give everything I got, and finish the fight. And he did. Absolutely insane. You gotta respect both of them, really. And I mean, I did already. I will admit I didn't like Volk too much before this, but watching him fight and also watching his post the press conference there, especially the press conference, that really got me interested. I'm a Volk fan now. I really am. And of course, I still love Ortega. Love the guy. By the way, I didn't even write this down. I should have. That intro was so fucking cool. Some people said it was corny. Some people said it was stupid. But honestly, we need more entrances. Where is everybody's entrance? Come on. Like, boxing might go overboard sometimes. They look kind of stupid sometimes with their rapper, which, by the way, usually they're rapping horribly and it sounds terrible. But, they got the huge crowd around them walking like, oh, yeah. Then they got the rapper. Ooh, ooh. But, I mean, come on. I love the fact that they at least have an entrance. And, I mean, you see some pretty crazy ones sometimes. Where is that in the UFC? We need that. We need the showmanship. We need those clips. I mean, could you imagine if we see that? If we saw stuff like that at least every main event or something? Come on. They threw that shit all over Twitter. It was all over the internet. They put it, I even saw it on TSN after. And they showed his entrance on TSN just as long as they showed the fight. Like, get more media out there, like, make yourself look crazy as hell. Do something cool. You'll also get more followers out of it. I guarantee you he probably got more followers out of that just because he did that. Why not do that all the time? I didn't even write that down. I just thought of it, but seriously, we need that. We need more of that. Anyway, what is next for both of them? Holy fuck. We were 35 minutes in and I haven't even started the new event. Anyway, this has got me so hyped, this fucking event, the UFC 266. Okay. What is next for them? We're calming down. We're bringing it down. What is next for those two? Ortega obviously is going to be out for a while. He was seriously fucked up, like beyond beat up. Like, he really should not have fought. Even he should have been done after the 4th, really. But when he comes back, if nothing changes much in the rankings, I could see him getting Giga. That would be great because Giga wants somebody higher. And I think Ortega might need that. I think that would actually be a really good fight too, because Ortega is so well-rounded. And he also just showed that how good he is. But yeah, I think that would be great. Maybe Calvin Kattar, or maybe even just the loser of Holloway and Yair. So probably Yair. But we're also going to talk about that a few weeks from now when it actually happens. But anyway, that is probably what's next for Ortega. But again, I think he might even take a whole year off. I really would not be surprised. I think if he doesn't, he probably should. I don't think he's going to be out for like 2 years like he did the last time. Yes, he needed it after that Holloway one because he was basically in the same shape that he was this time. Maybe he was probably worse this time, but still. But he also did that because he wanted to really train hard, come back in as and a super elite fighter. And that's what he did. And I don't think he does that again. I don't think he waits a whole other 2 years to fight again, but I think he'll probably wait close to a year. Yeah, I think that's probably what he's going to do. As for Volk, he actually mentioned in the presser that he wants to fight a lot more this year, maybe even moving his whole family to the States because of how hard it is to get out of Australia and New Zealand, all those areas, those two countries. And he even said he might even move up to lightweight for a couple fights if that means that he can fight more. And I mean, honestly, I think that's pretty reasonable considering he cleaned out the featherweight division, and there's really nobody that has a shot at beating him right now. I really don't think so. So, except for, of course, the winner of Holloway and Yair. So you got to wait for that to play out, and then of course you got to wait a bit after that. So if he wants to fight in between, then I mean, do it. Fucking go to lightweight. Like I said, after watching the presser, I really like this guy. He's super chill. And yeah, like I could see, again, I actually could see Ortega getting a rematch. But again, the man's got to wait quite a while for that to happen. Then he's probably got another fight. And then he might get a rematch, but nothing before that. And because like, again, he actually did do a pretty good job. He literally was a couple seconds away from getting a belt here. So don't forget that. He did pretty good. But yeah, in terms of Volk, go up. Definitely go up. I mean, give him a solid fight. Anybody in the top 5, honestly. You could even give him the chance at being a double champ. You could give him the winner of Chandler Gaethje. He's going to do some real damage up there when he gets up there. I really do think they are going to put him up there. And I think he's got a pretty good chance of being a new double champ here. I really do. He's so good. And like the lightweights are good too, but there's something about him that's just so dominant that I really think, I'm not saying he's like Khabib. We throw that around too much, but I do think that he's so dominant that he's got a really good shot at being a double champ, which is crazy to say because the lightweights are so good, but he's got a really good shot up there. So yeah, throw him up there. So before we start this next week's, we'll take a short break. Holy fuck. I mean, we're 39 minutes in. Oh my God. Crazy that we talked about it this long. But again, it was a wild event. Loved it. So yeah, before we move on to the next one, we'll have a quick break. I will see you after this.
Allow me to introduce High Stick Vodka, a new way to celebrate victory. Gather around the glass with an award-winning, ultra-premium Canadian-made vodka. You probably won't listen when I say High Stick Vodka has a smooth, hard-hitting taste, or that it's developed in the birthplace of hockey. You won't listen when I say High Stick Vodka is a tribute to the game of hockey, or when I tell you it's distilled 4 times using Canada's purest mountain spring water to provide an authentic, remarkable flavor. But maybe you will listen when I say it comes in a f***ing hockey stick. Showcase your passion for hockey with our limited edition hand-blown hockey stick bottle. Whether you're celebrating victory or drinking to defeat, High Stick Vodka is better after every shot. Visit us at highstickvodka.com. It also comes in this regular bottle. Celebrate victory. Drink responsibly.
And we're back. We're back, and we're going to talk about UFC Vegas 38, Santos against Walker. We'll start, of course, with the main card, as we always do, and that kicks off with Alex Hernandez and Mike Breeden. Just looking at this, honestly, no idea why this is on the main card. I guess there's not too many high-profile fighters in the prelims. I don't know. This seems like a weird choice. Although, actually, I think I saw that Hernandez, his opponent, pulled out. That might be why. I'm not sure. But yeah, seems like a weird choice for a main card. But that's okay. Whatever. We're moving on. I've seen Alex Hernandez a couple times. He's a pretty solid fighter. He lost his last one, but it was a decision to Thiago Moises, who is a very solid fighter. So no shame there. And on the other side, we've got a brand new fighter, Mike Breeden. I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll be shocked here, but honestly, I think this is a pretty one-sided one. Of course, you can never tell with somebody that's brand new, but Hernandez is a pretty solid fighter. I'm going with him, and I'm going with a finish here. And if you look at the odds on Bet99, and we're going to throw up, of course, the betting for Bet99. Follow that link if you want a bonus and to see our boosted odds. We don't have any UFC boosted odds this week, but we, of course, we have our other sports. So yeah, looking at Bet99, we've got the odds, and they've got Hernandez at minus 550, Breeden at plus 375. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. So for this one, I mean, yes, of course, you could always put your money on Hernandez, but if you don't like that it's that, you know, the new fighter, maybe you don't want to throw too much money into it. Maybe you just throw it into a parlay. You could always do that too. I was really itchy there. You could throw it in a parlay with somebody else here. There's one other one that's wildly favored. We've got Carol Rosa and Beth Correa. I'm actually not sure why that's as one-sided, but that's minus 500 for Rosa. So maybe you parlay that together, or maybe you just parlay it with another one that you like. Maybe the next one, which we will talk about right now. We've got Aspen Ladd and Macy Chiasson. We've actually got a solid women's fight here, folks. It's honestly the first one in a while, except, of course, for last week on the main card. But in terms of the fight nights, we haven't really seen too many solid women's fights in a while. So I'm excited for this one. I really am. Aspen Ladd is ranked number 3 in the bantamweights. Chiasson is ranked 11. I do speak French, by the way. I'm not just being a dick, but it's fun. But anyway, so Macy beat Chiasson, beat Marion Renault. Oh, I'll talk about Ladd first. Ladd won her last one. My bad. Against Kunitskaya, and I'm losing myself in the notes here. And lost her one before that. Last one before that, pretty quickly. But other than that, was undefeated. And I mean, you beat Kunitskaya, so that's pretty solid too. So she's looking pretty good there. Macy beat Renault on her last one, but other than that, hasn't really fought anybody noteworthy. So to me, that means just based on experience and potential and age, I'm going with Aspen Ladd for sure on this one. I want to say a finish because she gets a decent amount of finishes, but they're both ranked and Macy's never been finished. I think because of that, we're probably seeing a decision here. Either way, I think this is actually a really good one to watch. But I mentioned this one as a parlay because Aspen Ladd is at minus 275 right now. So if you want to throw those two first ones in, Hernandez and Ladd, I think those are pretty safe. That's a pretty decent parlay. You could even throw a third one in there. Like I said, maybe you could throw that earlier one in there. I will say I didn't look into that one too much. So if you're going based on my advice, I don't know because I didn't talk about it. But those two for sure, I would definitely throw in as a parlay. I like those two quite a bit. Next one, we've got Misha Sirkunov and Krzysztof Jotko. Wow, that's actually a harder one to say. I don't usually have problems. Krzysztof Jotko. Yeah, nailed it. We've got Sirkunov ranked number 13, but that is in the light heavyweight division. This is being fought at middleweight. Jotko isn't ranked. He's actually lost his last one against Strickland. Now, I'm a little hesitant when people change weight classes, but here we see Sirkunov going down. When you go down, you've got the extra power and you've definitely got extra durability, but you do lose that speed. you're going to be the slower person probably. But if you look at Jotko's record, he's lost to every ranked opponent he's faced. Brad Tavares, Uriah Hall, and Sean Strickland. Cirkunov also has a lot of ranked losses, but he's still done pretty well for himself. Obviously, he has ranked himself. And he's ranked in the heavier division. So to me, I'm actually saying that Misha has the edge in experience. Of course he does. But I also think he has the edge in power, of course. So experience and power, I'm really going with Misha on this. And I'm going by finish because of that extra power. And also in the, in the men's ones, the heavier ones up, you see a lot of finishes. So I'm going a finish for Misha Cirkunov. And what's interesting to me is I'm looking at the Bet99 odds, and Cirkunov is at plus 125. Jotko's at minus 155. That is very, very interesting to me. They might be doing that because of the weight division change. I'm not sure. But this actually might be a good chance to bet on an underdog here. I really like Cirkunov here. I will say, yeah, I think it's going to be a close one, and either one of them could go here. But there's so much going for Cirkunov here that I think you might want to throw some money on the underdog here. Next after that, we've got Alex Oliveira and Nico Price. This is going to be a good one too. It really is. Two warriors here, but I'll also say their records are all over the map. Both of them have some great wins. Both of them have some bad losses. There's no consistency here whatsoever with either one of them. So to me, this is definitely a toss-up. This is a complete toss-up here. I've seen both of them fight a few times too. To me, just based on what I've seen though, I think Price is the better fighter. But this is one of those ones where it just depends on who shows up to fight hard on the night. That's going to be what it comes down to. So just based on what I've seen, I'm leaning towards Price by decision. And if you look at the odds, we've got Nico Price at minus 172, Oliveira at plus 140, which is interesting that it's leaning that far off. I'm a little surprised by that, but they are leaning Nico Price too. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I'm not saying I would suggest betting on Oliveira, but that's an interesting choice for an underdog because of those odds. That's interesting. But like I said, I really do think the Price is going to win here. But again, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. After that, we've got the co-main, Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland is back. And Kyle Dawkins. We talked about his brother earlier. Another banger here, folks. Kevin Holland is back. Holland is ranked number 14. Dawkins is not currently ranked. I see what they're doing here. You're not fooling me. They know that Holland lost his last two because he couldn't wrestle for shit. He is amazing on the feet, but awful on the ground. So what do? You got to test him. You got to test those new skills out on the ground with Dawkins. That's what they're trying to get at here. But I'll remind people, who were his last two losses to? Vettori and Brunson. I'm not a huge fan of either one of them, but Vettori is one of the best wrestlers in the division, and Brunson is pretty good himself. And am I saying that, are we thinking that Kyle Dawkins here is up to that same level of wrestling? No, not a chance. There's no way, not even close, especially not Vettori. I mean, and again, that's literally why Holland lost. He just got thrown around. And Holland has spent his entire last year working only on wrestling. And by the way, he wasn't terrible at not being taken down. It's just that when he got taken down, he couldn't do anything about it. So, I just think that that's just overwhelmingly leading towards Kevin Holland here, especially since he's obviously much better on the feet. So for me here, what else did I have to say? Oh yeah, that's right. He may talk a lot of shit, and some people don't take him seriously, but this guy always likes to put it all in to back up that talk. So he took that whole year off to work on wrestling because I know he wants to be the champ. He wants to do everything he can to make himself better. So I don't think he just wasted his year, just bumming it, just trying to get a bit of wrestling in. No, I think he worked really hard, put his everything into it, and came out a much better wrestler. We'll see this week, but I think that's what he did here. And I think he's going to prove that. And I think we're going to see a wildly improved Kevin Holland, a scary Kevin Holland. So I'm going Kevin Holland here for sure. And I think he's going to get a finish. He might not even get on the ground. Who knows? He might just smack. He might just smack Dawkins. Who knows? But he's chasing those bags this week. He's going for the finish. He's going crazy. He hasn't fought in so long. He's itching to get in there and fight. So I'm going Holland for sure. And if you check out Bet99 for those odds, we've got Holland at -163, Dawkins at +130. I think that's a pretty solid choice. I mean, yeah, definitely. I would honestly throw some money on Holland here for sure. I mean, -163. It might be, I wouldn't say it's too risky, but he hasn't fought in a while. But yeah, so I would say those are pretty good odds. Definitely picking Holland here, or at least bet on the finish. And last, of course, the main event, Thiago Santos and Johnny Walker. You've got Santos at number 5, Walker at number 10. Oh yeah, I'm losing it because we're going way over what I normally go. Hold on. Struggling to keep the energy up. I gotta say, Santos has been on a bad streak, losing 3 in a row, but I can't help but point out who were those losses against. John Jones, Glover, who's fighting for the belt right now, and Rakic, who's also pretty solid. So it's not like he's losing to a bunch of bums. Like, this guy is losing to really solid competition. And Walker, on the other hand, is only on a 1-fight win streak against Ryan Spann. And he lost 2 before that. I don't know. I just can't see this being hugely competitive, honestly. I really think that Santos is going to walk right through him. No pun intended. Especially in 5 rounds. Really, 5 rounds. Do I think that Walker can last 5 rounds with Santos? Honestly, no, I really don't. I think we're going to see a Santos finish here. I really do. I think we're finally going to see Santos put it all back together for a very good one. And if you look at the odds, they're leaning that way too. They've got Santos at -167, Walker at +133. This is a good one. Definitely throw some money at Santos. The odds are closer than I would have thought, honestly. I guess because Walker's not even ranked, really. So yeah, I'm a little surprised that this one is as close as it is. I guess they're thinking, oh, Santos has lost 3 in a row. But yeah, he's still favored. So yeah, I would definitely throw some money on that one. So before we go, I've also got my prelims. As always, I will say nothing really jumps out at me too much, but I always like to pick 1 or 2. I feel like everybody should be watching all the prelims anyway. The more people that watch the prelims, the more exposure these newer fighters get. So watch the prelims, people. Come on. But yeah, so I picked out 2 that seem somewhat interesting to me. First off, we've got Jamie Malarkey and Devontae Smith. I've seen both of them before. Nothing crazy, like I said, but they're all right. And this could be a fun one to watch. So that's why I'm saying this one. Malarkey just won against Kama Worthy his last time out. But before that, he lost 2. One of those to Brad Riddell. So no shame there. Devontae Smith, however, just won his last one against Justin James. And I remember that was a good one. I think this is a tight one. It really could go either way, but whoever wins, I think is going to get a finish here. For some reason, I'm just leaning towards Malarkey. I don't really know why, but he's got something. He's got something extra that I'm leaning towards. And interestingly, Devontae Smith, if you look at the odds, is at minus 158. Malarkey is at plus 128. So if you're going by the odds, maybe go Smith. But I just, for some reason, have a feeling that Malarkey is going to get it. And that might be one to throw at just a bit of money, just a bit of a sprinkle at Malarkey for being the underdog. I think it's that close, really. And it could go either way, really. I don't know why the odds are that one-sided. So, yeah, maybe throw something on the underdog here, Malarkey. Last one I want to talk about, and it's only because of the name, and I've seen her before too, Antonina Shevchenko and Casey O'Neill. Come on, you got to see Valentina's sister. And it's also, I will say, it's also an interesting one because O'Neill is undefeated. So I actually think this is going to be one to really pay attention to here. O'Neill has never fought anyone noteworthy. So this is going to be her real huge first test in the UFC. So again, this really could go either way. I'm not, I don't know. And Shevchenko does have a bit of a spotty record, I will say. But, and there is one thing about that, they're all against top contenders. None of those are against complete scrubs. She's got a spotty record, but they're all against people. I think they're all against people in the top 10. So I don't know. For me, again, this really could go either way, but I just have to side with Shevchenko. You got to imagine that she's trained really hard after that loss, and she's just got way more experience than O'Neill. And what's interesting is both of these fighters are almost always involved in finishes, whether they're on the right side of it or not. So I'm going with a finish here. Either way, I think this could be a good one. You actually might want to bet on the over-under here that it's going to be a finish. What do they got here for? Oh, interesting. Yeah, plus 108 for under 2.5. Yeah. That's a solid bet there. You should definitely do that. I don't think it's going to last the whole time because they both get so many finishes. I really think that's a solid bet to make. If you're not going to bet on a person, bet on it being under the rounds there. And then of course, in terms of the odds, they've got Shevchenko at plus 180 and O'Neill at minus 225. Very interesting odds. Very interesting. I guess they're going because O'Neill is undefeated. And as much as I've said it a lot on this show, I always like to go towards the undefeated one. But Shevchenko's just so much more experienced. And of course, trains with her sister. And you got to think that she's put way more together since that last loss. I don't know. I think they're really doing Shevchenko dirty here. I would actually throw some money on Shevchenko here. But again, if you don't feel comfortable betting on a person here, bet on it being a finish, just a finish. Because that, I can say, is probably the more likely scenario. And the odds are pretty good for that. So, finally, that is it for the 9th episode. We were here for an hour this time. Crazy. But I mean, we had so much to talk about. And I mean, holy shit. When we have those 2 pay-per-views in a row at the end of October and the start of November, it's going to be crazy. We're going to be sitting at like an hour and a half here or something like that. It's going to be wild. Anyway, that's it for this time. All of my socials are linked below wherever you're watching this, whether that's on YouTube or Twitch or Twitter on the Area 51 Twitter. If you want to hear about the other sports, of course, the Area 51 network has coverage of all of that. They're on my hat. It's a cool hat. I like it. Check out the other channels in the group as well. I will see you next week after Santos and Walker. Hopefully talking about some cool finishes. Who knows? See you next time.